Hello everybody! The 1,000 subscriber special is happening now. We've made it to 1,000 subscribers here on Leafy Concern. Thank you all very much.
Insert applause noise. Confetti comes in from all sides. There's a party hat somewhere.
So I have thought of something special that I want to do in honor of this landmark. And it's something that I've needed to do for a long time, which is give you a formal introduction, a magazine known as Mouse. That's mouse-magazine.com. This is the first, oh wait, I think that's wrong, right? For those of you who want to go to mouse-magazine.com, don't go to mouse-magazine.com because that will take you to just this picture of a flashing mouse. The correct website is mouse-magazine.com.
All right, now that we got that out of the way.
This magazine, Mouse Magazine, was started by my friend, Morley Music. Let's dive into what we love best on this channel, which is books. Here we have one out of its shrink wrap, and then we have one still in its shrink wrap, which I did on purpose so that we could do an unboxing style video this time around.
Rolling.
Here we go. Mouse. There it is. We want to... Often what I like to do is take a pencil or something. Often what I like to do is take a pencil and poke it through like that. And then you can tear off all the plastic. Welcome to my ASMR channel, everybody. And we see the issue itself. Now the stock that the cover is printed in is kind of like this nice textured thing where it feels kind of like canvas. Feels kind of like cloth or something. It's this nice brown hue. I think that's because it's a zoom in on something, on a work of art.
And you can see the painting.
Oh, there you go.
That accompanies each page, yeah.
But the work of art is by Hugh Music. On page 38 is where we'll start. Page 38, existential samurai noir cinema. Hugh Music makes these amazing books. He's an amazing little bookmaker.
We visited Hugh Music's house in Chicago, and it's full of these cabinets, each of which contains many tiny little books in this style. So they're stories and paintings next to each other, and this is a scan of one of these stories, and you can see the painting.
Oh, there you go.
That accompanies each page. Yeah.
There's that same Hugh.
Yeah.
Hugh's Hugh. Now, having done that little close-up on one of the pieces inside the magazine, let's go through it more linearly, shall we? I should have said this at the start, but I am sitting here with the author of the piece that is featured on the cover. What do you have to say about the cover?
So I was surprised when I actually got my copy and saw that snippets from my piece were on it, but very excited and honored. And so my piece in here, there's also some on the back and this picture to go with it. My piece in here is called The Union of Salt and Sand. So let's find it, shall we? I think it's earlier.
Yep.
You know, it's one of my favorite things about this is the little symbols in the index to go with each piece.
I love that touch.
I love a touch like that. We love a touch like that. So
really, I feel like this magazine is founded on like, let's have a few great touches.
Yes.
And then let's forget about touches altogether and write our fun writing.
Yeah. I also think one thing about this magazine that you can get a sense of when we're flipping through it is it's such a like miscellany of different styles of things, which I feel like is, you know, it's very in the spirit of Leafy Concern.
Totally. It's like
Yeah.
this is a concern, this is a concerned citizen's a dream to be able to have this compact space with a whole little library of little things, each of which is something where if you just read it, you know, and made a little vlog about it, you would be doing a service to everyone who's looking for descriptions of books on YouTube. You would be showing them things that they need to see.
So my piece is about glass making, the history of glass making, and also about a particular time in history where there was a phenomena of people believing that they were made out of glass. And so it's sort of connecting those two things, the actual process of making glass and what it means for someone to believe that they're made out of glass. And so it's a bunch of historical stories sort of brought together around those themes. Yeah, it's very condensed history. And you can also read it, as with many of these other pieces, on the Mouse website. So
You don't need to acquire a copy of the physical magazine to read these pieces at all. You can read them online. However, wait a minute. There is some stuff that's exclusive to this magazine, though.
some stuff is exclusive to the magazine.
Okay, so yeah, many of the pieces in here, I would say the majority you can read on the site. But you want this book. You want a good book, don't you? I mean, if you watch this far in this video, despite all of my disorganized rambling at the beginning, it's because you're looking for stuff like this, you know? I think the size of type that was selected for the magazine lends itself to easy reading. Large print, but not really. It's just like a easy reading. It's just beautiful, you know? You're asking which part of the book is exclusive to the book and isn't available on their website? Well, check this out. In this issue of Mouse Magazine, on page 129, there are poems by Cliff Fyman. Yeah, that Cliff Fyman, who wrote Taxi Night. The same Cliff Fyman who wrote What You Can Learn from Beowulf, a poem that I read repeatedly at the release party for Mouse. That's the poem that Anthony Madrid transcribes in toto at the end of this review of Taxi Night that turned me on to Cliff Fyman's work. Don't you think we should do a full video on Taxi Night soon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, read from it at length, like a three video series on Taxi Night.
I think what I want to say about Taxi Night, it's one of those rare books where if you just talk about it to someone, they will be excited about it.
Yeah. Yep.
Like anyone that I've described this book to has been excited about it, and then more excited when they've actually heard some of the poems.
Oh yeah, like if they've heard, like, remember how Cliff was writing these and then we read them at a party, and then they were like, oh, there's another get together happening later. One of the attendees said, like, come to that and read them there too.
Yeah.
Like, you just want to drag this book around with you and just, you want to, lug it around and kind of and read it to whoever you happen across, because it's just like a force of good in the world. They're really fun to read aloud. Anyone who hears you read it aloud really gets it. And this like idea of things that are good to recite, I've always felt like Mouse is a home for people who prioritize that. And although, you know, people who don't, you know, also welcome, but I think that's one of the reasons why having the that release reading, you know, those release like readings where there were so many recitations just felt really appropriate. So that's something that's extraordinary about this first print issue of Mouse Magazine. There are many extraordinary things about this book. I keep flipping by this front matter, so I kind of want to talk about it for a second. This is an introduction to the magazine. This is actually a good Gmail. It's like a muskrat den. On the next page, you see the dedication to Irina C. Katz. It's a preface to the book and explains its dedication. And it does more than that. It also describes the Irina Katz Prize. Oh, there you go. There's the right website. I hope there are some translators watching this video at some point. I really hope you'll take advantage of what has been set up here and contact us. Mouse Magazine it's really translation forward.
So one thing Morley realized was basically there's just so little translation happening to the English language, and especially in the field of like avant-garde literature. People just aren't working on this very much, and there's not a lot of opportunities.
And so,
just by reaching out to people in literature departments, reaching out to people who study comparative literature or who are translators, Mouse Magazine has been able to publish some really exceptional literature from around the world that just hasn't been taken up or appreciated elsewhere because of this real lack of translation.
So let's use this as an opportunity to look at some of the cool translations in this volume.
Stupid Black Bull in the Dark by Shyam Manohar, translated by Winston Berg.
This is a series of extracts from a novel in Marathi, and it's very funny and very much in the spirit, I think, to me, it makes me think of Robert Walser.
this thing, the zeitgeist that we tuned into before anyone else of pathetic literature, literature of the small, you know, of the like small people, small men, Emmanuel Bove and stuff. This is the book I'm referring to, everybody, just for your information.
This is another one that you can find on the Mouse website, and you really should just give it a read because it's a very funny, original, strange piece of writing.
Yeah, read this one aloud to your friends.
Yeah, read it out loud and laugh.
Or to your enemies, you know?
You could definitely read this to your enemies.
Oh yeah, I feel like you could just read this in a room full of frenemies.
See where
Friends
the
and-
chips may fall.
Exactly, yeah. throw everything up in the air. Man, every time I talk about this book, I sound like some kind of shady greengrocer. Or some kind of eager greengrocer. We are distinguished by the quality of our merchandise. Yeah, the party for this release was really fun. There was a performance from Hippie Johnny, which is a kind of a house band that the magazine has sometimes. There were a couple of release parties, like there was one where it was like more like a traditional reading, and there was one where all of the authors of pieces in this thing haunted the rooms of an old apartment. You would go through, and then the haunters would read to you whenever you found yourself in a room. Here's something that we should highlight.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this strange little story from Kyla J. Kaplan. And I was just absolutely blown away by this story because, I mean, just read it. It's just unreal.
Yeah, it's like a little speculative gem.
It is. This little, like, nightmare set in a strip mall. Fantastic.
A fantastical strip mall within the confines of extreme international law. In the reading, when we got to this part, I was just like, man, this sounds like, sounds like there's going to be a novel of this.
I was just going to say that this is Kyla J. Kaplan's first publication, and I just couldn't believe that because of how incredible I think this story is.
It feels like it should be a meteoric rise, you know?
Yeah, so get excited for more to come, hopefully, from this writer.
From Kyla J. Kaplan. I like this image of the abandoned Westfield promenade. Everybody, thank you for bearing with me today. I'm a bit hoarse, which is why I'm very glad Amelia is here to help speak. One thing that's cool is that there's also like reportage in here, and I think one of the missions of Mouse also is, just like a good idea is to have the magazine be really far flung. Like there's poetry that documents real life things, and then there's poetry that's like totally fantastical and just a figment of the writer's imagination. There's like news style kind of writing, but then there's also like impressionistic things. There isn't one mode of attack that suits every imagination, and like you need a capacious literary magazine that can funnel all of those voices into one place for the discerning literary magazine reader.
I think one thing that we have talked about sometimes is the way that when you have books on a shelf that are very different from one another, it sort of feels like they inform one another and speak to one another. You know, when you're really separating your books by genre, it's like you lose a little bit of this, cross-genre connection and the interesting things that can happen. And I think that's one thing I like about this is that we're shelving like this very serious, intense journalistic war reportage next to, these beautiful drawings from Joseph Dole, next to poetry, just like this lack of the sort of ghettoization of one genre into one zone.
Yeah.
They all sort of inform each other, and I think part of the idea is to have a home for writing that's not as easily classifiable.
Right. Yeah. That's basically how it's described. It's just like that's how we describe it. It's like, and it's funny because I've heard people say like about famous publishing houses in the past or something. It was a good place for, or like good like record labels or something. It was a good record label for like music that didn't fit elsewhere or something. I feel like that's something that they would say in a documentary for like a Drag City Records thing or something. It's just like, it's a feature of stuff I like. What were you gonna say?
I'm gonna ask if we should look at the chapbooks.
Yes. So there's a quick look at some of the things that are in this first print issue, this inaugural print issue of Mouse magazine. Like, having done that, I really want to also talk about some of the chapbooks that were also on offer at the release party for Mouse. A series of 3 chapbooks that inaugurate a new series.
And you know we picked up the whole suite.
Oh yeah, you know we picked up the whole suite. Let me go grab them. Specifically talking about Legal Fictions by Morley Music, illustrations Hugh Music. A select archive of deleted Wikipedia articles on aspects of Finnish literature by Henri Antikainen. And Clank of Light by Henry Cole Smith. I want to look at who publishes these. So here we have Mouse Editions, New York 2024, Mouse Editions 2024, Mouse Editions, and then censored Nihil obstat imprimatur. That's a nice and mysterious new imprimatur that you should get excited about. So these are also available on the shop, right? On the Mouse Magazine shop, right?
I believe so.
Oh yeah. Mouse Magazine issue 1, Mouse Chapbook 1, Mouse Chapbook 2, and Mouse Chapbook 3. With descriptions, you can buy them. This is very good, actually. I mean, have you seen this?
No.
See, it's like, you get the nice, like a spread of it, and then a description, and then you go down, and it's like, description again. I think it's very nice. So what can we say about these texts?
So Legal Fictions is Morley's series of modern fables. So each of these is sort of taking a phenomenon of modern life. For example, the first one I believe is about ghost kitchens, which, if you haven't heard of that, it's the phenomenon of like when if you go on Grubhub, okay, and you see a bunch of restaurants called like Mike's Crazy Pizza, and basically it's just frozen pizza that someone is reheating and then sending out, from either just like a tiny little hole-in-the-wall kitchen. It's like not a real restaurant.
No,
it's just a
masquerading
Grubhub
as
cash grab.
It's a Grubhub cash grab. They know you will click on it, and they'll just do whatever they need to do to get you to click on it and make the sale happen.
So the first fable is sort of reimagining ghost restaurants as in this form of like modern folklore. And then you can see what I really love is the illustrations have this like old-timey woodcut style. So they're bringing that kind of historical feeling to these modern fables.
In Terror Proud, the Earth has this magnificent illustration. Oh my goodness.
Deleted Wikipedia articles on aspects of Finnish literature. This is really an excellent little chapbook.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see Wikipedia articles in here that you're not gonna find on Wikipedia because they straight up deleted them. They've been deleted. So this is this is a really, really necessary archive. I'm so glad that this has been done.
You're gonna learn in this about some forms, some poetic forms, novelistic forms that you won't have heard of before.
And that perhaps you'll want to explore.
For instance, one we were talking about a lot and enjoying a lot was the Hilja.
The Hilja. It's a form that I hadn't heard of before reading this chapbook.
An exclusively Finnish wordless genre of poetry. And there's actually an example of a very famous Hilja reprinted in this chapbook. Can we find it? Yes, look at that. Reprinted with courtesy of the author. So just take a moment to appreciate that.
Let me read it really quick. Plank of Light by Henry Cole Smith, a Sonic Corona. See, in the back, this Sonic Corona. Now, this is the first time I'd ever heard of a Sonic Corona. If you take nothing else away from this video, take two things away from it. Number one, Mouse Magazine exists, and you should be aware of it and be reading it, and you know, grab a magazine. And the number two is a Sonic Corona. You know, what the heck's that? You know, I guess legal fiction is also a term that I was introduced to by these chapbooks. Like legal fiction, as an actual term, Hilja and Sonic Corona were all terms I didn't really know about. One of them is invented, in fact. Well, which one?
Yeah.
You know, all words are invented, you know? All phrases are invented. We invent them all. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that one thing about this Henry Cole Smith chapbook is it is just so stylish.
It's so damn stylish.
It's just so beautifully formatted and designed.
Hank knows how to do these things.
Yes.
Hank has a typewriter where you can put in a different type ball and get different words to achieve different effects. I mean, everything is possible, you know, design-wise.
These little touches. We're always loving the little touches, as you know.
It is a fierce singleness that the epidemic has stepped up to a mountain. And then you see the line repeats over here. So that's what happens here is that we have the rings of the little chain necklace of these poems or whatever. That's not really what they're called. But it's a Sonic Corona. It's not a chain necklace. But there's
you could visualize it.
You could envision it as like that, and they loop around and then they come back to the beginning. So you can guess like last line of each poem is the first line of the next poem. Last line of the last poem, first line of the first poem. So really, if you think about it, you should be reading this book infinitely, forever. You should just never stop reading it. And I think more people in general should write things that are meant to be read infinitely. That should be your goal generally, right?
Yeah, I think so. So
there you are, people. I mean, there you are, dear audience. 1,000 subscribers, holy heck. You have before you 3 of the finest chapbooks I have been presented with in recent years, and Mouse's inaugural print issue. Have we talked about the main points and everything? I mean, like the main points are like total grab bag, lots of different things, cool translations, how translators have been recruited, Cliff Fyman's presence, your presence. We haven't talked about my presence, and then we've got the chapbooks, what they are, what they contain, you know, in general. But really, like, it's weird because, like, I feel like Leafy Concern videos I'm never really doing them specifically because I want to advertise something. Like, typically, like, I remember for Pereira Maintains, when I made that video, I was just sort of like, I like this book so much that I just don't even want to talk about it. Here, I do like this stuff so much that I kind of don't even want to talk about it, and I just want to put it in your hands. But it's so urgent this time that I really needed to, like, go through page by page, you know, and kind of do some close-ups on some of these things. Actually, what I should do, everybody, is now that we've done this overview of some of Mouse's offerings, what I could do is I could do like future videos in the future that can focus on a legal fiction or a definition or like one of the pieces in Mouse, just so we can do a close-up. Like, it would be good to just like closely read Kyla's story as a Mouse episode. But the purpose of this was to kind of give you a broad overview.
And I think one thing about it is, you know, we're trying to like make you buy Mouse Magazine.
No, not at all. No, we're definitely not trying to make you do that.
We're just saying, like, you know, go look at the website. Like, the point of this is to make a home for the kind of stuff that we all love, the weird stuff. The weird stuff that has trouble carving out a little nook for itself to exist in.
Maybe it's too genreless. Maybe it's too genre. maybe it's whatever is too weird to fit in elsewhere.
Okay, so like a mouse, a small cubby hole. We've gnawed away a small cubby hole, and now we're just showing you where it is.
Yes.
So that you can visit it or not.
Beautifully said. And with that, I'll close this video. Happy reading.